All right. Welcome to the Creative Impostor Live. This is our series about when your art becomes your job. And I am here with Erika Bullock. Erika, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I am so grateful. I'm so honored that you asked me.
I love your background. I keep looking at it and I'm like, you look like you're in that your office is like a spa. It has that's very like wood tone, earthy vibe.
That is intentional because the majority of the stress business related happens here. So it's very intentional as a reminder to me to woosah and all of that. So yeah.
Awesome. So, for our audience, at the risk of making this episode sound like an advertisement right off the top for Erica's business, I promise it's not just an extended advertisement. I want you to listen to something. This is a good opportunity for me to practice my ASMR voice, if you will, or my travel. Maybe this is an audition for a travel commercial uh, here, but Erica's business is called Wander World Destinations, and she has a trip coming up. So this is what it says: a luxury women's getaway in Napa Valley called Uncorked and Unbothered, June 17 through 21, 2026. It's an intimate, curated wine country experience designed for women who want to slow down, be well cared for, and actually enjoy travel instead of rushing through it. Think elevated wine tastings, beautiful scenery, great food, meaningful conversation, and plenty of time to relax and take it all in. It's not a chaotic group trip. It's intentionally paced, thoughtfully planned, and focused on ease, connection, and indulgence. If you've ever wanted to experience Napa in a refined, stress free way with like minded women, this is exactly that kind of trip. Erica, this sounds incredible. Why did you create Wander World Destinations?
Well, so I've always loved travel, but a couple of years ago, I found myself super stressed to the point that I was like having health issues and such. So in those moments, I had to actually be still, which is very hard for me to do. It's very hard for me to do. So during that time, all I could think, I love travel. I absolutely love travel, love trips and all of that. And as I was trying to mend from the health issues that I was having, I thought, I'm like, there has to be other people that experience stress the same way and just need an opportunity to completely relax. So that's why I decided to start planning experiences. Yes, I'm a travel agent. Yes, I have a travel company, but I focus on planning experiences for people so they can basically get what they want out of a vacation. I know that everybody doesn't need to decompress, but yeah, so I just start.
Are you kidding? Everybody doesn't need to decompress. I'm like, I feel
I
like
mean,
we
that's
live
not
in stressful times right now.
right. I mean, like some people want to go for an adventure or whatever, but for those, so I'm the agency I have, I tailor to whatever my client's dream is for their vacation, whether it's a luxury honeymoon, a relaxation vacation, a retreat, anything like that. So that's kind of how I started Wander World Destinations.
Yeah. And I'm curious. I notice when I look at your social media, like especially your Instagram, I see a lot of destinations with the tagline, like for the first time, like we're going here for the first time or here for the first time. And I know
Mhm.
that you work with a lot of people who maybe are intimidated by travel. I am not that person. I am somebody who
Mhm.
the first time I left the country, I was 16 years old. I was in high school. I was able to go to France with my French teacher and some of my other classmates. And that was my first it was my first time on an airplane. It was my first time leaving the country, taking a big trip from the Midwest. And I still have the journal actually that I wrote in on the plane on the way home, and I was like International travel will always be a big part of my life. I was like, I have done this once. I am never going back. Like, this is always going to be a thing. And I find that, there was a period of time where I did not, well, two periods of time. One, when I was first starting my business, where I could not, I didn't have the funds to travel internationally. And two, during COVID, obviously, like I had a major health thing right before that. And then COVID happened. And there was a big period of years where I did not get to leave the country. And I was like, I'm going stir crazy. I need to go.
Right.
But that's
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
case. A lot of people are intimidated by the idea of travel, or it feels overwhelming. I'm curious, like, why is that? What holds people back from taking vacations and going somewhere?
I think for the most part, it's the fear of the unknown, meaning
Mm.
they don't know where to start, don't know where to go to be able to get the experience that they're looking for. Finances probably also play a part in it, but that's those are the only reasons I can think of, and that's what I hear from my clients because they want to know like what's the difference between like going to Google or Chat GPT or something and planning a trip and the diff and or working with me. And the difference is that I am with my clients every step of the way. So there are no questions, there's no for lack of a better word, insecurity, like travel insecurity. I help them from pre-trip all the way until post-trip. So I'm
I,
very
I
high
can
touch.
I can say from experience that sometimes, because I like to DIY things, I don't necessarily usually buy packaged trips. I'm usually like, oh, let
Mhm.
me. Back in the days before the internet was what it is, I used to buy those Lonely Planet guidebooks. They're like thick,
Oh yeah.
guidebooks that are like Lonely Planet Europe, and it's like this thick, and it's like every country in Europe with like
Hmm.
restaurants you can eat in, places you can stay, tourist sites, museums, and all this stuff. And I used to plan things out. And there definitely have been some mishaps where maybe you've booked a hotel reservation, so you thought, and then you get there and they're like, "Oh, we don't have your reservation," "There's nowhere for you to
Hmm.
stay," and it's like 10 o'clock at night in Paris. That happened to me. Um,
Oh gosh.
or yeah, it was not a good night at all. Or, just like travel goes awry or transportation isn't what you thought it was going to be. So, like that idea of being able to have the stress free logistics of it sounds
Mhm.
really incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I would say for my clients that have never like I planned a trip to Italy for a couple for their anniversary and they'd never used a travel agent, but I was able to plan obviously like the flights, the hotels, but I was also able to find tours for them.
Yeah.
Um and different activities and things for them. So they really didn't have to think about it. And then also for one of my travel packages, I actually offer an app where your itinerary shows up on your phone. So every day, at every time of the day, you kind of know what you have set up and all of that. And they were just like thoroughly pleased with my service. I was so happy to be able to do it for them. But they were just like, oh my gosh, Erica did everything. So, and I appreciate that because that's what I'm here for.
Mm. There's something else that sets your services apart from even other travel agencies or travel agents, which is inclusivity design. And this is something that's really interesting to me because I have people in my world who have sensory processing disorders or who are on the autism spectrum. I have a program that I work with students who are on the autism spectrum, high school students. And I know that when we think about people in certain populations, whether it be like an intellectual disability or a physical disability, the concept of travel can be even more overwhelming for people who are in those populations. Can you talk a little bit about that aspect of what you're doing?
Sure. So I am a certified autism travel professional. So what I do, well, let me just start here. The reason why I was even interested in getting it because it was because I know parents and families that want to go on vacation, but they are very nervous or apprehensive because they have an autistic child or a child that may be on the spectrum. So I am deeply in part of who I am. I like to help people. So when I saw that as a need, because it never, I guess because I don't have, neurological disorders or people that are on autism, spectrum in my family, it just never initially occurred to me how
Mhm.
much of a challenge it can be when you have autistic children and you're trying to travel with them. So yes, I do provide those services. So basically I talk to the parents and just
Yeah.
how can I be of service? Like what does your child need in order for this vacation to be enjoyable for you and for them? And so we kind of talk about the needs of the child and then I just source the supplier that has what they would need. So, for instance,
Mm.
like Disney, they want to take their child to Disney, but that's always like super. It's chaotic for me. Like,
Yes.
it's just a lot.
It's a lot.
But Disney also has like places where the autistic children can go if they get like overstimulated. So it's like completely quiet and you're able to work with somebody on site. So I would set up the vacation and everything, and I would put them in touch with this person. And then that person would take it from me while they're there on the ground, making sure that they are fully cared for, making sure this vacation, like I said, it needs to be a vacation for the
Mhm.
parents too.
Mhm.
So you hate to come back from a vacation like, oh my God, I need a vacation after the
Right,
vacation.
exactly.
So yeah, so we have suppliers that have people on the ground that will actually help them through the experience throughout the entire time. And that was just really important to me because I traveled a lot when I was a kid. My parents had a condo in Orlando, Florida. And so I was able to go every summer for 2 weeks and I completely loved it. So when I think about that experience and then the experience and the challenges that some of these families might have, it was almost a no brainer for me to kind of extend my services into that field. Additionally, I'm special needs certified. So it doesn't have to necessarily be autism, but like even if you have senior parents, grandparents, and
Mm.
they have mobility issues. I have suppliers that work with like scooters if they needed it. If, for instance, they cannot sleep in a bed and they have to sleep kind of sitting up in one of those
Yeah.
sleeper recliners, I have suppliers that will, for cruises, actually deliver it directly to their cabin. It's a host of services that I provide because I just love helping people. And ultimately my goal at like when I think about it, I just want to be able to make travel accessible to everybody. Everybody that wants to travel, that's what I want to do.
So I want to go back to your story a little bit. And you had said originally that when the reason why you started this job was because you yourself were experiencing some health problems and stress and things like that. You were previously in real estate? Is that right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, I was in real estate and I was they call it contractor relations administrator, but basically I managed showing agents for companies so you know how they have a showing agent so that you'll be able to tour the house whenever you want and you just don't have to be dependent upon your particular agent in order to see a home. So for the state of Texas at the time, it was 700 agents that I was
Oh,
overseeing.
that
Yes.
feels like a
Yes.
lot.
It is a lot of different personalities. But it's what's really funny is I really loved that job. So I
Yeah.
didn't realize necessarily the toll that it was taking on my health because I loved it. I love interacting with people. Again, I love helping people. And I was really fulfilled by the job. I just, like I said, I didn't realize the impact that it was having on my health.
Yeah. What was it about Because there's a lot of reasons why people decide to leave employment for entrepreneurship or for starting a job, starting a business. Obviously, it's something that I did
Mhm.
as well. What was it about starting a business or the idea of doing that instead of just finding a different job that might be less stressful or might, fit the lifestyle that you were looking for a little bit better? Like, what was it that made you think that starting a business was going to be the way to go?
Well, because I needed flexibility too. So I also take care of my mom, and she has
Mm.
Alzheimer's. So that side of my life is pretty unpredictable.
Yeah,
So I'm the type of person that I like to give 100% to everything that I do. And having to care for her and try to hold down a full-time job, it just wasn't really feasible for me
yeah,
because, like I said, I needed the flexibility.
yeah,
So that's why I chose to go into business for myself. I even looked at doing like part-time jobs,
yeah.
and it's really the flexibility that caused me to go and decide that I wanted to start my own agency.
Yeah, this is a huge topic for a lot of people in our audience. Also in my world, I mean, that's not when I started my business, it was over a decade ago, so that's not where I was then. And I had a business prior to that for 5 years. So I think I started entrepreneurship maybe 16, 17 years ago. I've been self-employed um,
Mhm.
for that amount of time, and I've had, like, part-time jobs here and there to help supplement my self-employment, but that was the last time I had a full-time job, I think was 2008. I think 2008 was the last time I had a full-time job, and, so those were not the reasons why I started working for myself, but for especially women, and especially, like, in the age range that we're in, it becomes that time of life where you are sometimes caregiving for seniors or caregiving for, parents or even, like, younger humans, older humans. It's something is calling your attention that is a higher priority, and even it's not, I will say it does disproportionately affect women, professional women, but I will even say, my partner, he is an only child with, aging parents, and he is full-time employed, but the only reason he was able to take full-time employment is because it's primarily work from home. And he needed that flexibility of being able to, go help his parents in the middle of the day if need be or whatever it is, and just having that proximity and that ability to be close to them and to be available in the case of an emergency was really important. So that makes a ton of sense. I'm curious though, when did you start your business?
I just started my business June of 2024.
June of 2024. So at this moment, we're not quite 2 years in.
Mhm.
You're kind of still in the honeymoon phase of business
If this is
ownership.
this what honeymoon looks like? Is this what a honeymoon looks like?
Well, I mean, that's my next question because I think that there is a lot of times when we are employed full time and we're dreaming of being entrepreneurs and we see it online, right? Everybody's posting on social media like this
Yes.
glamorous entrepreneurial lifestyle that you have, like, oh, Andrea just like connects with people on podcasts and has these fun conversations and live streams in the middle of the day. And like, sometimes I'll post little things like one of the things I love about being self employed is to be able to go to the grocery store at like, 11 a.m. on a Tuesday or something and nobody's there.
Mhm, mhm. Right, right,
um,
right.
you
I
know,
completely get that.
Yeah, these little
Yeah.
perks or, I'll get to travel, but what they don't see is that I'm traveling, but I'm still like, behind the scenes, like in my Airbnb, like trying to get in this last minute deadline or, whatever it is. And so there is sort of this like fantasy world of self-employment, this fantasy world of
Mm.
entrepreneurship. And it's not always that. Like there's definitely great parts about it. So let's start with what has been great so far for you. Like what has really been like, this is what I signed up for.
It would be me being able to help people. So although I've only been in business for almost 2 years, I have been planning travel for over 20 years. So that part is kind of methodical for me,
Yeah.
meaning that I have a process and all of that. So when it comes to the service that I provide, I kind of got that down pat, for lack of a better term. I have that down pat. So I will say planning the trips that's been the best part for me. Planning the trips, meeting new people, hearing what they want to experience on a trip. That part of it has been super, super rewarding.
And then what have the challenges been? I can spend hours on the challenges of self-employment and entrepreneurship. But
Yeah.
what has not lived up to expectations so far?
The idea of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like I feel like people because and it's not necessarily I don't believe that people try to glamorize necessarily
Mhm.
being an entrepreneur, but you just like if you're looking on social media, you just don't see everything.
Yeah.
So for instance, my first big challenge was actually honing in on my target audience
Mm,
because it causes you to kind of think of the service that you would provide, who would benefit from this service, and all of the things. And then you have to market to these people. So I would say I did hear years and years ago that the biggest budget in your business is marketing because if nobody knows you're there, then no business. So
and
I
I'll
would
say
say it would be
it also is one of the easiest traps to waste a lot of money too. Like, biggest budget, but also, like, there's
agreed,
so much marketing advice and strategies out there that do not work, and you can
agreed.
easily waste a lot of money there.
Agreed. I in the beginning, thankfully now I have a trusted marketing person. Thank God that'll say, don't do this or yes, you need to do this. But like in the beginning, I remember people reaching out to me because I feel like once you get a business and you have a business number, everybody is reaching out telling you, oh, hey, advertising this, advertising that, and do all of that. So I did waste a lot of money in the beginning. I wasted a ton of money in the beginning with no return.
Yeah.
No return, not even like one or two clients, zero return. So, and as an entrepreneur, that's the last thing you are trying to do is waste money, especially like I do apply for grants and stuff like that, but basically I am self-funded. So
Mhm.
to lose $400 on a marketing campaign that did not work, that is serious for me. So I would say that's been one of my biggest challenges is marketing.
What have you found any strategies that have worked really well for you so far?
Oh gosh. Yes, I have. First off, I will say this too. I did end up getting a mentor that
Mm,
helps me with my travel business because even though I've done travel for so long, running a travel business is kind of totally different, like the
yeah.
entrepreneurial side, like the ownership side of it. So I have even when I was talking about my target audience, I went through a process with that and identifying that and really honing it down, and that has worked for me. It really has worked for me in such that the people that want my services, I am able to attract those people. So
Mm.
that's one strategy that I use that has worked for me. Another strategy that I always do with all of my clients when they reach out to me wanting to plan a trip, I always do a complimentary consultation just so that I can get an idea of what they want and if what I offer matches that. Because if not, then I am okay handing off business for the
Mhm.
sake of the customer or my client having a great experience.
Mhm.
I've also had situations too where, which is very rare, let me say, but I've had situations where somebody else can beat me in pricing.
Mm.
I hand them off and I say, "Hey, if that's what you want, if that will make you happy with your trip, then by all means, go do that." I'm never the type of person like, some people be like, "Oh, well, I want your business." No, I believe that what is for me will come to me,
Yeah.
and I just leave it at that. At the end of the day, it's really the client's satisfaction, even if it isn't me, that is a priority for me.
I like this, that you brought up. finding a mentor for business because, my first business that I started and had for 5 years and then ultimately closed was a yoga studio. And similarly to like, you'd booked travel, but you'd never run a travel business. And it was the same for me. Like I was a yoga teacher, but running a yoga studio is something completely different. Like it gets to the point where now you're not just doing the yoga part, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the branding, you're doing the bookkeeping, you're doing the human resources of hiring other people that are working in your studio. You're figuring out what to do when the hot water heater breaks. You're you're like doing all these things, solving customer service problems, uh figuring out what software your business needs, making the mistake of paying for yellow pages phone book ads. Remember phone books?
Oh my gosh.
It's a different time then, but I also still think that I should not have wasted money on a yellow pages ad.
Right.
Someone at the Chamber of Commerce sold yellow pages ads and they kind of like talked me into it and I felt pressured and anyways.
Yeah.
But uh sometimes I think finding a mentor is something that we want, but it's hard to know how to find that person.
Mm.
How did you go about finding the right person for you?
Um, I would say so. I am in a lot of travel groups and I follow a lot of travel people, whether they do prepackaged trips or like individual trips, kind of like what I do.
Yeah.
And I just watch people. And so as I was watching my mentor, I was just like, she seems like she really knows what she's doing. And a lot of the things that she would post directed at travel agents, it was always something that I found to be helpful. So yeah, so that's basically how it was. And then just so happened she had a mentoring program and I was just like, ooh, sign me up
Mm.
because yeah, she's amazing. She helps me to with all the things, like all of the things, she helps me to prioritize what's important. Because, like I said, I give 100% to everything.
Yeah.
So, whereas I could be focusing, say, on marketing,
Yeah.
when I really need to be focusing on money generating activity and prioritizing that. So, if that's talking to calling customers back, reaching out to customers, um, planning consultations with clients and things of that nature, then I need to focus on that first,
Mhm.
and then kind of go down the list from there. Because I will spend literally, because I'm a creative, also I will spend a whole day on social media prep stuff, scheduling my
Yeah.
social media. I will
Yeah.
spend a whole day on that. And that is ridiculous. And basically, that is what she told me. Like I'm such a perfectionist too. That's the other thing. I am a perfectionist. So even if I'm doing, say, the sign up form or something, I'm like, everything has to be proportioned just right. It will literally take me, if I prior to working with her, it would take me almost 2 hours to do one jot form. I'm trying to line everything up. And she's like, do you know how much money you could have made in this 2 hours while you were working on his job for him? And I'm like, eh. So I've had to kind of taper that down,
Yeah.
like the idea that everything needs to be perfect.
I'm laughing because I relate to this so hard. I also have some of these tendencies, and I had a business coach that I was working with, for a while, and, she shout out Diane Wingert. She said, "Okay, I know you were a straight A student in school. I need you to strive for a B plus." She's like, "I need you to stop striving for the A plus." She's like, "I need you to work towards a B plus and start doing B plus work." She's like, "'Cause I promise you that in your mind, what you think is a B plus is most people's A plus." I was like,
That's a good way to
"Ooh,
put it.
strive for a B plus. I don't know about this
I know,
philosophy."
right? Even when I was listening to you, I was like, oh,
Ooh.
because my parents used to pay me for good grades. So I used to get $20 for an A and like $10 for a bee. So in my mind, I immediately went to that. I'm like, well, that's not $20.
Well, this is
So,
fascinating. This is totally off topic, but this is fascinating to me because my grandmother, my German grandmother, my Oma, she did the same thing. She paid us for our report cards, and we got money for A's and B's. Anything below a B, nothing. Um,
mhm,
and then she also would like, I don't know if we like if I had an essay that won a contest or something, like whatever random thing you do in school. Then she'd be like, "Oh, this is wonderful that your essay won a contest. Here's $25." Just like randomly. And so in my mind, I associated uh academic achievement with cash, right? Money.
mhm,
It pays to to do your assignments well and take good tests and get
right.
good grades. And there's a philosophy out there that most successful entrepreneurs are not A students. They're usually like B and C students because the A
That's very true.
students are in that track of trying to do everything right and having to need, like the perfection of what you're doing um, rather than just shipping the product, right? Rather than just getting it out there,
Mhm,
getting it in front of people, making the sale, even if it isn't quite perfect before it's ready. So this is interesting. I'm curious if that, what that, and you probably don't have an answer for it, but this is you're only the second person that I have met that was paid for grades.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think for me, it's not about, I just made the correlation between actually doing the work and getting paid for it, but doing great work. Like I said, I used to get
Yeah,
$20 for A's, $10 for B's. But so in my mind, if I did great work, then I get the most money. So that's kind of what stuck with me
yeah,
is overachieving equates to more money, which also equates to more stability in theory, depending on how you manage your money.
right.
But yeah, so all of those things.
Huh. But in entrepreneurship, it's not necessarily true. Just because you do great work doesn't mean you get the paycheck at the end.
Absolutely, it does not. It does not. That's another tough lesson to learn. That's another tough lesson to learn because, I mean, just sometimes how much time I take preparing these trips. And for instance, I had one client reach out to me, and so I was working on preparing her trip.
Mhm.
And so by the time it was time to do the follow up and me say, hey, this is what I have, blah, 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 blah. Within her group, they had changed the trip altogether. I mean, literally changed every aspect of the trip
Oh.
after I had done all the work to based on the original
Oh,
itinerary she said that
no.
she wanted. So yeah, it doesn't always equate to money.
Well, let's counter that too with, I know that you had mentioned a family that was really grateful for the work that you had put in and they had like a really great trip. Have you had any experiences yet where, um, so we're going back to this theme of when your art becomes your job. A lot of the people
Mm,
that I'm talking to for this series are people who the job is not the job or the business, the work is not just work, right? It's not just a paycheck. It's something that you believe in. It's something that is meaningful to you or aligns with your values. And that's how I'm
mhm,
defining art, right? Is it's something that you're
mhm,
passionate to create for whatever reason. And when your hard work goes unrewarded or unnoticed or unappreciated, that's hard. Like, that's really
mhm,
tough to take, especially when the work itself is meaningful to you. But on the flip side, sometimes we have these moments where and it can be small too. It can be something big or it can be something small where you do get recognized or you do get thanked or you do get appreciated or somebody has a breakthrough type experience and you're like, this one experience, if nothing else good ever happens, this one
yes.
experience has made it worthwhile to me and meaningful. Have you had any of those experiences yet?
I actually have, and I often reflect on it every time I have like the not so great experiences.
Yeah.
But I was able, one of my clients, she has a daughter that was turning 16 and she is wheelchair bound.
Okay.
And she wanted to take her daughter to New York City to be able to see Wicked on Broadway.
Yeah.
So I was able to make that happen. Did set up everything with accessibility and just everything regarding that. And she left me a review, and she sent me a text message first, but then she said that she would not have been able to do this without me. And like literally, I'm getting choked up. Like it was
Oh.
uh,
Yeah.
it was one of those moments that I was just like, "Oh my god, this is why I'm here. This
Yeah.
is why I'm here to make a difference in people's lives." People that would have been otherwise overwhelmed by travel. I mean, it was I'm thinking about it now through our dealings with each other. She would message me and she'd say, "Erica, I can't find such and such paperwork that blah 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 blah." I said, "Okay, well, when you have everything, just send it over to me," because it was other stuff that she was doing on her own, like
Yeah.
she decided to plan excursions and things like that. I'm like, "Send me everything and then I'll put it in the app so you'll be able to reference it
Yeah.
while you're on in trip as opposed to having to try to find it in your email." So it's like I say, it's when I get feedback that says I could not have done this without you, it is,
Yeah.
I don't know, it almost zeroes out the things that didn't work out, and those trips where clients change the itinerary and don't tell you, it kind of zeroed all of that out.
Yeah, that's incredible. And that leads me to this question that I have, because we are talking about art as being your passion. I think on the surface, when I first reached out to you, I was assuming because you have a travel business that your art is travel. And certainly, like you
Mhm.
said, travel is meaningful to you. It's important to you. You have these childhood experiences of going to Florida, etc. Um, but when we were talking earlier, I think, your real passion is not actually travel, it's something else, and you've been kinda dropping hints to that, along the way. What would you and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm off base, but what would you say your art is, that thing that you're passionate about, that spark of creativity that you carry through into your work?
I would say that's a very good question because at the core of who I am, I'm thinking like I just love to help
Yeah.
people. I really do, and I don't think that's like artsy, so to speak. But I think where the creativity and the art piece of it come in is because I create experiences
Mhm.
more than I create just or make travel reservations or airline reservations, hotel reservations. I literally, the creative part of me, I curate experiences. I have
Mhm.
yet to plan the same trip twice.
Mhm.
And so I think for me, that's the art of it
Yeah.
because travel, even though, you might say, "Oh, yeah, I went to Florida, I went to Orlando," but it's not a one size fits all because everyone does not have the same goal when it
Yeah.
comes to travel. So I would say from the artsy side of it, that's the art part, for lack of a better term, of what I do is actually listening to what my clients want or need and then creating something that meets that need.
Yeah, like, there are many people who can just plan a trip and do the logistics and make the bookings. You can ask the hotel concierge to book you a thing, et cetera, but, like, taking that time to really understanding what is the experience that this client or this person or this family wants to have, and how can we curate that experience for them, that's incredible. That's
Yeah.
definitely an art.
Yeah, and I love it. That's the other piece. I want to mention this too. So for the exact same family for the 16th birthday, apparently, and God, I feel so bad. I can't remember this young lady's name now,
It's okay.
but there is an actress in Wicked that is wheelchair bound.
Yeah.
And so, yes, so like those types of things. And so she's at the door greeting guests when they're coming into the play. So I actually did the research to make sure she would be there when my client
Mm,
traveled and saw the play so that she would be able to like connect with, like if she wants to be an actress, like I can
mhm.
still do this even though I am in a wheelchair. So that was also very important to me. So that's what I mean when I say that I kind of think out of the box creatively when I'm working with my clients, that's the type of service I look to provide.
That's awesome. I'm going to give a little bit of logistics for our audience here, and then I'm going to ask you one final question, which is very open ended, which is so don't answer this yet. Take a moment to think about it while I'm giving logistics and
Okay.
business. But the question I'm going to ask you is if there's anything else that you feel like you want to share that you haven't said yet that's coming to mind for our creative entrepreneurs and dreaming of entrepreneurship and maybe dreaming of travel and decompressing. So think on that for a moment. But
Okay.
Erica's website, again, is Wander World Destinations. You can find all of her socials there. You can find upcoming trip information there, like that Napa Valley one that we mentioned. And if you're listening to the audio of this later, it comes out after, a few weeks after our live stream. So hopefully there's still spots available if that sounds good to you. But there might not be. So don't wait if that sounds like a trip for you. And all of that will be linked in the show notes in the episode description for our audio episode. Also, I encourage you to check out the entire playlist on YouTube for all of our conversations, all of our previously recorded and upcoming live streams about when your art becomes your job. You can find that YouTube playlist at bit.ly/art versus job. That's bit.ly/art vs job. And that's where all the videos are. Of course, all the audio edits are coming out in the Creative Impostor feed in your favorite podcast app. And if you yourself are thinking about podcasting, or you have a podcast, but you're wondering how you can make your podcast even more powerful this year for whatever your goals are, because just like travel, not everybody has the same goal in mind. With podcasting, there's so many different things that you can do and so many ways that you can leverage the medium. I am offering a handful of complimentary non-sales conversations at bit.ly/powerfulpod. That's bit.ly/powerfulpod. That's where you can sign up for a free 30-minute session with me to talk through either your podcast idea that doesn't exist yet or your existing podcast. And we can give some strategic advice on your next steps. All of that business aside, Erica, is anything else coming up? Is anything else coming up for you that feels important to say?
I think, I guess for entrepreneurs, not necessarily for travel, I just think that entrepreneurs, you need to come as who you are. So I know a lot of times we see maybe like I might see somebody that also does travel and they're very successful in their travel business and they do the travel their way. And it's very tempting to try to do my travel business their way, but it doesn't work. I just think that bringing your authentic self to your business, that is like your secret sauce
Mm,
because nobody else can be you.
yeah,
So even like I know luxury travel planners, I know other people that are doing the work that I do, but they aren't doing the work the way that I do it.
yeah,
And so that's why I just feel like bringing your authentic self, the things that you want to do, the difference that you want to make in the world, bringing that to your business, it is priceless. Because even if you find somebody else, like I said, that does the exact same thing that you do, they don't do it the way that you do it.
yeah.
So I think that's just really important because I feel like in the beginning of entrepreneurship, it's like, oh, I want to make money. So I see this person making money doing this. So I'll do that myself and see how it goes. And it's so tempting to do that. But the entrepreneurial journey is a process for everyone. And we all have to go through our own individual journey.
Mm,
And it would be a shame to try to copy what somebody else does and end up reaping the results that you do not want.
yeah.
So, bringing your authentic self to your business is, I would say, rule number one. So, that's all I have to say.
I love it. Thank you so much, Erica. This has been really fun getting to know you a little bit deeper, sharing you with
Thank
my audience.
Yes, I love it. It was great. I just love the conversation and everything. So, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.